Hey y'all, what's good, what's poppin'? I'm so excited to come at y'all with this review today. Today I'm going to be doing a review on a cream bronzer that recently dropped, and it is this new Saie Beauty Sun Melt Cream Bronzer. I have mine here in the shade Medium Bronze, and I'm going to be doing a full-blown review, demo, swatches, wear test, all that on the products. We're going to really get into it. Now, I told myself honestly that I have so many bronzing products that I need to get through that I was going to do like a no-buy on bronzer specifically, but when I saw the product description on this, it really caught my attention, and I'm really intrigued to see whether or not this is going to be good for an everyday bronzer. I am someone that does wear bronzer on an everyday basis pretty much. I don't necessarily wear a full face of makeup, but I do like to just warm up my complexion a little bit, just add a little bit of glow back to my skin. So like I said, when I read the product description on this, it really caught my attention and it really made me think that this is going to be a good everyday bronzer. So I went ahead and picked it up, and we're going to go ahead and get into a full-blown review on it and see what the deal is with this product and whether or not this is going to be my new go-to everyday bronzer. So if y'all are interested in that video, seeing me do a deep dive and review on this product, that's what we're going to be doing today. Be sure to stick around till the end of the video. Before we get into it though, I do just want to say thank you to all my new and returning subscribers out there. Thank y'all so much for sticking around, supporting my content, and helping me to grow my channel. If you are new here and you haven't already, please just be sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell button as well, so that you can get a notification every time I upload a new video. And with that being said, let's get into it. Also, before I get into this review, I do just want to say, if you're here for something specific, if you just want to see me swatch this, if you just want to see the product application, if you just want to see the final results of the wear test, I'm going to go ahead and leave timestamps for everything down in the description below. I don't want you wasting your time on this video skipping around trying to find what you want, so I'll just go ahead and leave everything down in the description so that you don't waste your time on this video. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the review. Before I actually get into anything like swatches, applying it, any of that, I do just want to go ahead and do a little bit of a product overview, just so that we know what our expectations are with this product and what kind of mindset we're going into this review and wear test with. And I also want to do just like a little bit of an overview of the company as well. I don't always do this in my makeup reviews when I'm doing dedicated product reviews, but I do like to sometimes highlight the companies as well, especially if they are indie brands, and especially if I think that their company ethos highlights something that I think is important to me. So this brand, Saie Beauty, they're a newer brand. I want to say that they dropped in 2021. They may have been around a little bit longer than that, but they've really only been on my radar since this year. That's when they started selling products at Sephora. And if you scroll through the page on Sephora, they've got an extensive lineup of products. We've got blushes, highlighters, lip products, brow products. We've got a skin tint, and then we've got this new Sun Melt Bronzer, which is their most recent drop, and that's what we're going to be doing a review on today. So Saie Beauty's philosophy revolves around creating cosmetic products that are high performance, that come in sustainable packaging, and that also have clean, good for you, skin loving ingredients in them. Saie's products all meet the requirements for the Clean at Sephora stamp of approval, and beyond that, they actually have an extensive no list of ingredients that they just don't include in their formulations. These include things like fragrance, talc, parabens, mineral oil. I'll include a link below that elaborates more on the ingredients that they formulate their products without, as well as what safer alternatives they include in their formulations. This brand is also cruelty-free, and one thing about this beauty brand that I think makes it stand out from a lot of other beauty brands I've encountered in the past is they actually have a really extensive sustainability commitment that they outline on their website. Among some of their sustainability initiatives they have, a big thing that they plan to do is going plastic-free by the end of the year with their product packaging. And another thing I want to mention about this company is that they are climate neutral certified. And so basically what that means is, in addition to actively trying to reduce their annual carbon footprint, they do offset all of their annual carbon emissions through carbon credits. Again, I'll include a link down below to the website that goes a little bit more in depth on their sustainability initiatives. And there's also a lot more to their sustainability efforts than just being environmentally conscious. They also highlight things including ingredient sourcing and sustainability within their supply chains. So like I said, I'll go ahead and include a link to all that down below if you're interested in reading more about that. So I just wanted to highlight a little bit about the brand, but enough about the brand itself. We're here for a bronzer review, so let's go ahead and get more specifically into this product. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the product description from the website real quick. So they say, this is a lightweight creamy balm bronzer with a natural velvet finish that melts into skin for an effortless sun-kissed glow. Sun Melt's light creamy consistency makes it easy to build and define your bronze without overdoing it, and it's available in 4 seamless Timeless Shades of True to You color. I've seen a lot of people saying that this is a dupe for the Chanel cream bronzer. Now, full transparency, I've never tried the Chanel cream bronzer for myself, so my opinion on the matter is irrelevant anyways, but a little tangent here. I don't understand why everyone compares every new cream bronzer that drops on the market to the Chanel cream bronzer. Like, why is that one the standard? I guess they were the first one to do a cream bronzer or something like that, but I mean, I've tried the Fenty cream bronzer, I tried the Tarte cream bronzer, more recently I tried the e.l.f. putty bronzer, and there's just no way that the Chanel cream bronzer is that much better than any of those, that's just like the industry standard for a cream bronzer. I don't understand why the Chanel cream bronzer is like the industry standard for like what needs to be duped, but okay, that's my little rant over. While we are here talking about this being a dupe of the Chanel cream bronzer, we can go ahead and compare the two on paper real quick. So they both retail in a jar packaging for 1 ounce each, but that's about where the similarities between these two products ends. So firstly, the Chanel bronzer retails for $50 and that comes in 2 shades. For the longest time ever, I believe they only came in 1 shade, and that was the farthest thing from a universal shade. They did recently add another shade, I believe, but even 2 shades just isn't a broad enough shade range in a bronzer to really capture the variety of skin tones that exist out there. The Saie Beauty bronzer does so much better in this respect. It's only $28, so it's a full $22 cheaper, and it comes in 4 shades, which in my opinion is like the bare minimum number of shades that a bronzer should come in if it's claiming to have an inclusive shade range. Another thing that I really want to touch on, and this is what really sold the product to me, even though, like I said, I convinced myself that I was going to do a bronzer no buy. The ingredients list on the Saie Beauty bronzer is phenomenal. They include a bunch of skin nourishing and skin loving ingredients in there. So in addition to some basic skin conditioning ingredients like glycerin and beeswax, the one main ingredient that sold me on buying this bronzer that they included in here is colloidal oatmeal. Now, colloidal oatmeal is a really great skin soothing and skin replenishing ingredient. It can address and calm symptoms like a dry, flaky, inflamed skin. So this is a really great ingredient to look out for in your cosmetic products, especially if you're someone that suffers from skin conditions like eczema or you have acne prone skin. This is a really good ingredient to help address the visible signs of those and help to calm those down. And as someone personally with acne prone skin, seeing that included in the ingredients list, especially as high up on the ingredients list as it was, really makes me excited to try this out and really has me having high hopes that this is going to be a good everyday bronzer. That makes me feel a lot less guilty about wearing this on an everyday basis. And in addition to the colloidal oatmeal, we've also got grapeseed oil and elderberry extract. These are both really antioxidant rich. They're going to help to fight off free radical damage and help prevent oxidative stress in the skin from accumulating throughout the day. And elderberry extract in particular is also really good for helping to replenish and restore your skin's natural microbiome. Also, like I mentioned earlier, one area where Saie Beauty stands out, like I said, they have a commitment to being environmentally sustainable, and part of the way they're doing that is through more conscious packaging. They actually make note of this on the website. The jar itself actually consists of 50% post-consumer recycled material, and then once you're done with the product, you just have to give the jar a nice thorough cleanse, and the entire packaging is actually recyclable, so that's really nice. I appreciate that. So that's everything I have to say about the product description, all of that. The one thing I do want to make note of, they didn't say anything as far as a wear time for this. They didn't say that this is long wearing. They didn't mention how many hours this is supposed to last. They didn't say anything like this having a cream to powder finish. So I do just want to make note of that. I'm keeping that in mind with this wear test. Like I said, I do want this to be more of like an everyday bronzer, so I don't necessarily need something that's going to last me the full day, like 9-10 hours, but that does kind of make me wonder how this is going to wear on the skin throughout the day. So I do just want to keep that in mind and make note of that. But with that being said, before I get into the demo and application, I do just want to go ahead and do a quick swatch. So I'm going to go ahead and swatch this real heavy on my arm so you can see what this looks like, what kind of undertones this pulls, and how this looks on my complexion, because I know a lot of people like to use me as a reference for a shade match. And just for reference, I have my bronzer here in the shade medium bronze. This is the second lightest of the 4 shades that they offer. So here I have it swatched heavy on my arm, and as you can see, it definitely pulls warm, but it's not overly orange like a spray tan. It's not giving me Oompa Loompa vibes. That being said, this is 100% a bronzing shade, at least on my skin tone. I don't really see how you could use this to sculpt. It's just a little too warm. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to go over about the product. That's all the information, and then just a quick swatch so you have an idea of what this looks like and what the undertone is. So with all that out the way, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into the application. I'm gonna do a live demo of this for y'all so you can see how it applies to the skin and how it blends out, and then we're gonna go ahead and finish off the video with a wear test, and I'm gonna give my final thoughts and impressions on the bronzer and whether or not I still recommend it after I've been wearing it for a few hours. All right, y'all, so I am all ready to go ahead and get into this demo, but before we do that, I do just want to go ahead and go over my off-camera skincare and makeup routine real quick, just so you have an idea of what I've got going on my face underneath the bronzer in case it applies funny for whatever reason. So of course I went ahead and washed my face in the shower, and then fresh out the shower I just went ahead ahead and used this Naturium Niacinamide Essence 3%. So as the name suggests, this essence contains 3% niacinamide to really help snatch up your pores. It's going to help with decreasing the appearance of enlarged pores. It's going to help with regulating sebum production. It also helps to improve the appearance of hyperpigmentation, among other things. So I've really been loving this as my toner. While my skin was still damp, I just followed up with this Iunique Centella Calming Gel Cream. This is a really nice lightweight gel cream texture moisturizer. I've been loving this for summertime. This layers really well underneath makeup, and in addition, this also contains centella leaf water and tea tree leaf water, which really help to calm the skin and help to address the visible signs of acne and stressed skin. And then for my sunscreen, I'm just using this Kosei Aqualy UV Protect Gel Suncut SPF 50 PA 4+. This has really good broad spectrum UVA and UVB protection, and it dries down to a nice natural skin-like finish. So this is really good for those with oily skin types, especially now during the summer. If you want something that's a little bit more of a natural skin finish and doesn't have that greasy oil slick finish that some Western sunscreens have, this one I've really been enjoying for that. And then for my makeup routine, again, I kept it real simple today. I went ahead and went in with some of this Supergoop Mineral Matte Screen in my T-zone to just kind of blur out my pores, help to control my oil throughout the day. And in addition, this also contains SPF 40, so it's going to give me a little bit of extra UV protection in the areas where I applied it as well. After I went ahead and smoothed that all over my complexion and it settled in, I went in with this Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Concealer. This one is in the shade 290. I just went ahead and corrected any areas of hyperpigmentation that I had, let it sit for a second, and then buffed it out. And then I went ahead and just fixed up my brows real quick with this NYX Control Freak Brow Gel. So this is the face. This is all I've got going on. I kept it real simple with the skincare and makeup today. But now that I've got that all out the way, I am ready to just go ahead and apply it now. So I have my bronzer here in the shade Medium Bronze. This is what the shade looks like in the pan. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this Fenty bronzer brush. I'm going to dip it into the container, and then I'm just going to go ahead and take the flat end and kind of stamp it on my cheek. So this is what just a little bit of the product looks like applied to the cheek and blended out. When you apply just a little bit of the product to the skin like this, it just gives you a nice golden glowy bronze. But this is actually really pigmented and layerable. You can really build this up to get a nice defined bronze, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what that looks like in a second. But first I just want to go ahead and bronze up my face really lightly and show you what this looks like when you just want to do like a little pick me up and give yourself a nice little golden glow. So I'm just going to repeat the same process all around the face, focusing it where I would naturally get some sun. So I'm going to focus on the cheeks, the foreheads, and the temple, and I'll show you what a light bronze with this looks like. Alright, so this is what it looks like when you bronze your entire complexion with a really light hand, just to give you a nice natural glowy golden wash of color. I really love the undertone of this bronzer. As you can see, it's pulling very warm, but it's not like orange warm, but it is very warm. This is like a true bronzing shade. I don't think that this shade in particular would work good as a sculpting shade, but as far as a bronzer, something to warm up the complexion and give you that like back from vacation glow, this works perfectly for that. It's really creamy, it goes on the skin really comfortable and balmy, and then when you blend it out, there's no harsh edges. I don't see any brush strokes or anything. There's no line of demarcation between where I've applied the bronzer and where I haven't. It all just kind of blends seamlessly into one another. So yeah, that's one layer built up. Really love how this looks with going in with just a light hand, but I want to go in with just a little bit more to show y'all how you can really build this up and define your bronze. So I'm just going to go ahead and repeat the same process and just layer a little bit more on top until I get a little bit of a deeper bronze. Alright, so here's a bronzer layered up a second layer. It doesn't look bad. I don't hate how the second layer looks. I just wouldn't necessarily take it this far on an everyday basis, but this is just for demonstration purposes. I really just want to show y'all how deep you can really take this bronzer. The depth of the bronze is a little much for me, but honestly, besides that, I don't hate it. It's got that creamy consistency. It blends in seamlessly to the rest of the skin. We don't have any brush strokes or anything. There's no line of demarcation between where I haven't applied the bronzer and where I have. Now, being a cream bronzer, this does leave a nice, soft, luminous finish, especially building up 2 layers. As you can see, it does have a nice glow to it, but it's definitely not greasy. It honestly just looks like hydrated and healthy skin. I just look like I really moisturized today, and I'm really loving that. The one thing I do want to mention here, right here on the cheek, I have this area of hyperpigmentation I was a little concerned about, so I covered that up with some concealer, and I guess buffing the bronzer into the skin kind of disrupted that and lifted it a little bit. The concealer is not completely lifted, but I definitely do see that hyperpigmentation peeking through a little bit more. That's really the only area where I have any issues. here on this cheek, everything that I covered up still seems to be covered up pretty well, and I'm still doing good here in the forehead as well. So maybe I was just going in a little bit too hard with a brush here on the cheek. All that being said though, those are my initial thoughts and impressions on this product. I do just want to do a little bit of a wear test, just wear this for a couple hours and see what it looks like and whether or not I still recommend this after I've been wearing it for a few hours. So currently it's 1:30 in the afternoon and this is what we're looking like. I'm gonna go ahead and run some errands, do what I gotta do, step out the house, and I'll be back in a few hours to check in with y'all and see how this looks after I've done all that and whether or not I still recommend the product after a couple hours wear. Alright y'all, so I'm back to do my final check-in and get my final thoughts on the bronzer and how it held up, whether or not I still recommend it. Before I go ahead and start giving my thoughts on the product, I do just want to go ahead and do a quick time check. So it's currently a little bit after 6:30. When we did our first time check, it was a little bit after 1:30, so it's been about 5 hours and this is what we're looking like. Now I know 5 hours might not seem like a super long wear test, especially compared to wear tests I've done in the past. Usually I do a minimum of like 7 or 8 hours of wear time, but I did kind of take into consideration that for one, the website didn't mention that this was long wearing or anything like that. And also for me, I'm planning to use this as like an everyday bronzer, so that's kind of like the mindset, the mentality I'm going into this review with. So for an everyday bronzer, I think 5 hours wear is pretty decent. I just wanted to get that out the way so that we were on the same page as far as what expectations I'm going into this review and wear test with and what I'm expecting to take from it. So let me come up close so you can see, but again, this is the skin 5 hours on. Now looking in the mirror, it actually looks really good. So my oils are starting to peek through just a little bit, but I think that using the Supergoop matte screen really did a good job of helping to keep those in check and helping to keep the worst of them from coming through. My skin definitely is looking a lot more radiant, but it's like a soft radiance. It's not like a greasy or overly shiny dewy finish. Now the areas where I did apply the bronzer, like here on the cheeks and here in the forehead, it is a little bit more radiant than say here in the under eye area where I don't have as much bronzer going on. Now like I said, this formula is very creamy. It doesn't have a cream to powder finish or anything like that where it's supposed to set down. Now that being said, it doesn't remain sitting tacky or sticky on the skin. It definitely does set in a sense, but it doesn't set the same way as other liquid products would, if that makes sense. Now beyond the shine, actually looking at the bronzer itself, it still looks really good, even though like I said, there are some areas where it does look shinier than others because there is more bronzer applied there. I don't see any line of demarcation, and even so, in spite of the product making no claims as far as this being long wearing, sweat resistant, or anything like that, the bronzer didn't melt off or anything. It didn't slide off the face anywhere, so that really impresses me. It's not collecting in any of my lines, it's not accentuating any texture, it's not accentuating my pores at all or anything like that, meshing with everything and really adapting to the texture of your skin and becoming one with it. I really can't tell that I have like a separate product on top of my skin giving me that bronze. It really just looks like I have hydrated skin that also happens to be golden tan. So while I do love this bronzer and how it performed, there are definitely a couple caveats I want to touch on. First of all, this does go on the skin with a very balmy texture, and it doesn't really completely 100% set down like a cream to powder finish or anything like that. It definitely doesn't have a greasy or shiny finish, but it will impart this soft luminous finish. I want to drive home that it's a luminous finish. There's no glitter or shimmer in here, so it's not sparkly or anything like that. It's totally just a luminous, healthy, moisturized look, but not everybody wants that, and especially if you are someone with oily skin, something that starts off as a nice healthy glow throughout the day can definitely evolve into something that starts to look like an oil slick. So if you are someone that doesn't really care for that luminous skin finish, especially if you are someone with oily skin, I would definitely recommend pairing this with either a mattifying primer, going over it with a setting powder after to kind of tone down the shine, or depending on how oily your skin is or how much you really don't like that luminous skin look, you can go ahead and use both techniques to tone down the shine. Like I said, I did use the Supergoop matte screen mainly in the T-zone to kind of control the oils there and to help smooth over my pores, and I definitely do see here in the center of my face it does look a little bit less oily than it does in the perimeter of my face where I didn't use as much of that. And again, also the website doesn't mention anything about this being long wearing or anything like that, so I can't really speak to the longevity of this for a full day's wear, or if you're going to be doing something more intense, how this is going to hold up. Despite it being a little bit more oily, I'm still really impressed with how this wore throughout the day. I'm glad that this didn't melt off my face at all. I'm glad that it's not accentuating any of my texture or anything like that. And I also really appreciate the ingredients that this was formulated with. Like I said, we've got that colloidal oatmeal in here, which is going to help to soothe irritated skin, so it's going to be really good for those who have conditions like eczema or for those with acne prone skin like myself. And we've also got that grapeseed oil and the elderberry extract in here to provide some extra antioxidant benefits and help prevent oxidative stress within the skin. And it just goes on really nice and comfortable, but it doesn't feel heavy or wet on the skin. I would just say be careful when you're applying it if you are wearing complexion products underneath. Be careful that you're not using too heavy of a hand because you can possibly wipe away some of your complexion product underneath if you're really pressing it in there and really swiping the brush on. If you use a really light hand, it's really easy to build this up layer by layer without disrupting the underlying complexion products you have going on. So that's it for my final review on this product. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to go ahead and give it a thumbs up down below. Let me know down in the comments what you liked about this video, what you disliked. Also, let me know if you have any suggestions for any future video topics. Be sure to leave those down below as well so I can keep those in mind when I'm sitting down and thinking of things to film. Like I said, if you haven't already, just be sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell button as well so that you can get a notification every time I upload a new video. And with that being said, I should be back shortly with new content. Bye.